Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Larger Curves. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry I'm late, you guys. Can you hear me okay? I hope so. So thanks for tuning in to Larger Curves today. I appreciate you coming in here. As always, take a minute to smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and hit the bell so you can get notified next time I upload a video. Now, I typically don't upload a lot, but the other day on Veterans Day, I had a live-a-thon and I did like 3 uploads in one day. So that was like the most I've ever done. So you don't have to be concerned that I'll be going live too often. However, I just wanted to make sure that you know that I won't bother you too much, but I'll bother you a little, probably. Anyway, as I said, thanks for tuning in to Larger Curves today. Make sure you smash the like button and smash the subscribe button on your way in. And today, of course, I wanted to talk to you about the Real Housewives of Potomac. Now, as you may or may not know, this is the whole reason I even started this channel last year. The whole reason I started the channel last year was because of Real Housewives of Potomac. Now, and it was because of that polarizing altercation between Monique Samuels and Candace Bassett. I am a sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you kind of girl. And so I don't really see the need for people going physical over words. However, I am a conundrum, aren't I? Because I also don't feel like you can really expect a person's reaction to disrespect. I don't think that that should be tempered. However, my line is drawn at physical violence. So, with that being said, let's get into this Real Housewives of Potomac reunion for part 2. Now, the title of this was, anybody lightheaded from all that gaslighting? Okay, and that's a valid topic because I was lightheaded from all of the freaking gaslighting going on last night. Now, I think that the Real Housewives of Potomac is going in a direction that I don't really appreciate that much because it's kind of like that Spike Lee movie, School Days, where it's the light skins against the dark skins at this point. And at the brunt of it this year is our girl Candace Dillard Bassett. Yes, that first screen explained what gaslighting is. It's a manipulation tactic. It's when people try to make you feel like your reality is crazy, and they say things to make you question if what you experienced was really what you experienced. So this episode opens up with Mia and Candace picking up their beef where they left off, right? And their beef was over whether or not Candace is a worse person than Mia for the things that she says. And in my opinion, she is not. And then they did a flashback to last year, how everybody was saying evil things. And of course, even last year, they were holding Candace to a different standard, saying that her words provoked physical violence. That's the equivalent of saying that if a girl wears a short skirt, she's asking for it. Like, have some self-control in your life, take some accountability, and control your hands. I mean, if I'm teaching my children to control their hands and not put their hands on people, then grown women should have to do the same thing. It's just not hard. So they went in on Mia and said that she was a social media disaster also, but they also gave her a lot of leeway. Like, he didn't stick around, he is an Andy, didn't really stick around on the subject matter with Mia and really drill her and go into every text and everything. And so that's part of this gaslighting that's happening on Real Housewives of Potomac, where Karen Huger, the grand don't, the grand liar face herself, can sit and lie and talk about a woman's genitalia and talk about so much personal, vile things. And that's not taken as harshly as a yo mama response to Mia, please. So they're going to have to pretend that their body shaming is, in fact, as detrimental as Candace's, if anything. Now, I'll also want to say that I was none too pleased when the Real Housewife of Beverly Hills, Erica Girardi, brought up justification for her disgusting, vile behavior as, oh, the women of Real Housewives of Potomac and the women of Atlanta do this all the time. This is just a normal day over there. I didn't appreciate her saying that. And I don't appreciate these women even expecting that level of disrespect. Okay, so the gaslighting red flags are clear and plain in this whole thing. And anybody with eyes can see that anger management shouldn't only be reserved as a suggestion for Candace. You know, Mia went off, Karen's gone off, Giselle has gone off, Ashley's gone off, but they all try to pretend like Candace's response is that much harsher. Now, I scream colorism, and Wendy has also said colorism, and Candace has said colorism. And sometimes the public doesn't want to believe that it's really colorism because, let's say, for example, Monique Samuels never said colorism until after she left. But while she was benefiting from her alliance to the other ladies on the panel who feel and attack Candace more harshly, when she was in their good graces, she was like, oh, there's no colorism. I'm the same color as Candace and I don't experience anything different. But I do believe that once she got off of the show, Monique Samuels did in fact mention the colorism that was going on. So allegedly, in my opinion, that's what happened. So then we get into Karen pretending that they don't cut to the bone, that her and Giselle don't cut to the bone. And then here's Candace saying, no, you're bad examples. You're a bad example because while you haven't been in a physical altercation, you walk your friend into your other friend's job 4 years ago to try to have her do an altercation and stand by and do that. The same way you did with Monique now, standing right there to the side. All we're missing in this scene from 4 years ago, Giselle, is your hand pushing Ashley unbeknownst to her and starting the fight. Okay, so Giselle does in fact have a history of being the intermediary between altercations. But now all of a sudden it's only Candace's fault. Dare I say that's a bit of gaslighting. Woo, I almost passed out, you guys. Did you guys almost pass out from all that gaslighting? Okay, because Candace doesn't say anything any more vile than the rest of the ladies. Candace doesn't body shame any of the rest of the ladies any worse than they body shame each other. However, she is held to a different standard. And that is the colorism and the gaslighting for me. There are two things in one for that response to Candace's behavior. And as a viewer, as a melanated viewer, I find it hard to watch these old ladies be like the geriatric version of School Days. Anybody who doesn't know School Days, shout out to Spike Lee, go check it out. It's a phenomenal, iconic movie in the culture about the interdealings of darker skinned Black melanated humans and lighter skinned humans. So there is a whole culture, subculture about this. And these educated melanin goddesses are very aware of what is going on. And perhaps in any other circle, they would call a rose by its name. because a rose by any other name would smell just as sweet. Now you understand that, right? So I'm positive that these ladies, under any other circumstances, when they don't have an intention and agenda to attack the chocolatiest co-star, and when they don't have that agenda, then they would see and call it out themselves. But since they have an agenda, they don't call it out themselves. Now, these pictures that are playing right here are of Mia and her social media strategy fiasco. Her social media strategy, non-strategy, is to say that she has a social media manager who is basically her, because she didn't have a social media manager, but she did have a social media manager, but she needs to sound authentic, and they're practically the same person. And I call BS. I think that Mia is as much of a liar face as her new mentor, Karen, the Grand Don't, and her liar face. Okay. Now, I have been screaming from any rooftop that'll listen for years that Karen, the Grand Don't, is a liar, manipulative kind of lady. And she's super shady. And the rules that she implies to other people have no implication to her. And I'm not with that. You don't get to make yourself the mother hen of the group and then change the rules to suit just yourself. Like, I'm just like, how does she get to do that all the time? And how does she get to lie and not be held accountable for her lies? How does she get to talk about women's and repeat rumors from blogs and not have her feet held to the fire that everybody else is having their feet held to the fire for? I just don't get it. If somebody could leave a comment, that would be fantastic. Again, thanks for tuning in to Larger Curves today, when we're talking about the Real Housewives Reunion Part 2. And make sure you smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. And I appreciate you being here, my beautiful curvies. Okay, so then we had Ascala come in with her receipts from where Mia, air quote, social media manager, was targeting Ascala for no good reason, as it turned out. But here we go again with what could be colorism, because for some reason, Mia has it in for Ascala, and the only difference between Mia and Ascala is the color of the hue of the melanin, okay? Mia has no legitimate reason to be going in on Ascala. And when Ascala asked her about it, she ignored her and didn't really even have an answer. Now, Ascala got asked, why is she always saying that Mia is a classist? And well, it's because of comments like that. You keep saying to everybody that you make $500,000 a year. And not only will Karen have this look on her face because her husband is the Black Bill Gates, so $500,000 is not millions of dollars. So she didn't seem impressed. But like they said, we're not the IRS. We don't need to hear how much money you make a year. And real rich people don't let you know that shit. It's very tacky, Mia. And so, hey, you brought it up and Ascala gets to mention it. It's gaslighting to pretend that he can't mention it, okay? It's also gaslighting for them to pretend that it's not going on towards Candid. Then they went on and said bye to Ascala, because the tea is, oh, look what Mia said when she said that y'all brought her here all the way here to say them 2 sentences. You see what Mia said? So Mia is equally as nasty as the rest of them. And yet she doesn't get called on the carpet for it. They let her say all kind of stuff out the side of her light-skinned neck, and she doesn't call on the carpet for it. She even said in social media that the reason Ascala was there was because she wasn't going to show up. And everybody pretty much knows that the contracts that these ladies have are like, you're showing up to the reunion, period. Unless you happen to be a Real Housewife of New York and you don't feel like talking about race anymore, then they let you out of that reunion clause. But best believe the melanated goddesses have to show up every year and revisit the trauma that they experienced within that year. So some more examples of gaslighting is telling Candace that she has to take ownership for something, when in fact, she has been taking ownership for all of it. She comes with her receipts, she comes with her words, and she comes with her facts. And they just can't accept it from her. But they accept the lies on lies on lies from the other women with no problem. I appreciated when Wendy went to Candace's dressing room during the break, and she wanted to go check on her chocolate sister. And they started talking about, again, Candace's delivery. And Wendy was like, look, you just stick the landing. And then Candace was like, how your mama can make hell break loose with all the other things they talk about is crazy. Yeah. So, just a second, you guys. Okay, thanks. Sorry about that. So, now they're talking about when Karen was going in on Jamal. And like I said in my last live about this reunion, I feel that the reunion highlights from last season showed the duplicity of how these ladies get to act. Okay, so this is a clip of the barbs that they exchange. They talk about their husbands' private parts. Karen talks about other castmates' private parts and implies that they have STDs. She called her castmate a whore, a hoe, called her broke, all kind of stuff. Said that she went to Sing Sing, that's a prison, okay? So all of these things are lies, and Karen gets to say them without being held accountable. And I don't feel like that's okay. And then we can have a man go and tell a woman that you're going to need to attract guys while you can. And then the woman's response to her saying, you'll be dead 6 feet before this beauty fades. Like, that was a good clapback. But instead, Karen got to imply that somehow Giselle wished death on her husband. Okay? So then they had this whole package, try to sum up, like, not only the barbs the woman exchanged, but then it showed even more lies from Karen, because Karen said the reason she didn't bring up the stuff from 4 years ago in real time when it happened was because her daughter was a child. They just showed her daughter was 19 when that happened. She was a woman when that happened. So Karen's just a liar, you guys. Karen is a liar on a liar on a liar. And just because she puts grand in front of her name, well, actually because Giselle put grand in front of her name, because Karen didn't have a moniker and wanted one. And Giselle, when they were friends, dubbed her the Grand Dame so that she could be comparable to the First Lady. The only teabagging that Karen does are tea bags and cups, by the way, you guys. I thought that was funny. So then Andy started with Giselle's fiery box and wanted to know what exactly is a fiery box and why did you say that she has a hot box? And Candace cleared up that a hot box is in fact an STD. And then, what's her name? Then Karen had said that she didn't say it, and then they played the package, and then she's like, well, I did say it, and then she didn't. She never really gets called on the carpet for her lies. I just don't understand. And then she apologized to Hampton University, but didn't totally apologize to Giselle. But then they turned back around to Candace and pretend like Candace saying that Ashley's back was wide is body shaming, and that Candace saying that Mia's feet are big is body shaming, but that they could talk about fireboxes and taxes for their husband and stuff, and that's not body shaming, and that's not a problem. Gaslighting again, you guys, gaslighting. So what you're going to do for one, you have to do for all. And then you won't be gaslit. Then you won't be discriminated against. Then you won't seem like you're a colorist. Then you won't come off as a racist. None of it. most of the isms and the is can be solved by treating people fairly across the board. Now, if you're going to let Karen off the hook with lies, and then you can let Candace off the hook with truth and lies, even though Candace isn't a liar. That's one thing, you guys. Candace Dillard Bassett is not the liar. Mia Thornton is the liar, in my opinion, and from what we've seen. They rolled the footage to show us. Karen Huger is the liar from what we've seen, and we rolled the footage to see. Okay, so that's my thing with this whole, it's like a lot of gaslighting and double standards. And then right here, for some reason, Karen was standing next to Wendy when supposedly Wendy was mean mugging Grace. Now, the look on Wendy's face in that clip wasn't necessarily mean mugging to me. It was more just looking at her like, oh, look at this young girl. But she didn't show any emotion like, oh, she's pretty or a smile or anything. And that was odd. But yeah, don't take it out on the kids, Wendy. Don't take it out on the kids. It's not a good look. But in the meantime, Wendy and Giselle went back and forth about the harm to their children that they think they've done. And Wendy immediately apologized. And of course, Giselle being Giselle, she's like, I don't need to apologize. I didn't say that. But look, Karen can call Giselle a drug addict and a drunk, and look at how Giselle's reaction to it is. You see that? But if Candace says your mama, which is literally funny, she doesn't have that laugh on her face. It's double standard. It's gaslighting, a subtle form of emotional manipulation, right? And that's what these ladies are very good at. And then here's Karen doing more gaslighting, pretending that it's not an aggressive thing to tell millions of people that your co-star has a STD. And then when Candace, who had receipts, was like, that's the same thing. You're holding me to a different standard. Then Karen was like, well, at least we can regret it. Do you regret it? And she said, yeah. But that's not enough for these ladies either. She can't even do that equally. She can't even have equal regrets for less harsh words, the same thing. So then we had this moment with Giselle's package where she finally showed a little teeny tiny bit of emotion, was because Karen hugged Grace and the girls at that reasonably shady drive-in moment back in the season when we got to see her unfinished mansion. And for some reason, that moved Giselle almost to tears, because something about they know their moms first, and for her to treat her daughters with such beauty was beautiful. Mind you, again with the gaslighting people, because 30 seconds before this exchange with Karen and Giselle, where they're espousing their love for each other's motherhood and children, 30 seconds before that, Karen said, Raven didn't even like you. She didn't want anything to do with you. Right? But now 30 seconds later, you're both almost in tears because you respect each other's kids and motherhooding so much. I call BS. It's the Light Skinned Alliance. We see you clearly. And it's common knowledge that Candace was on the light skin radar before, but they decided to go in on Monique after Monique's indiscretions last year. But now this year, it feels like they're circling back to make Candace the villain at any expense. Okay? And I just am not here for that. And then we had a butt grabbing moment with them. And I see Wendy's head is kind of down because it's just, she's the smart woman. She knows that if these two heifers get together this season, that not only is Candace on the block next season, but they coming for Wendy too. Because the Light Skin Alliance is that. They gonna stick together. Watch, mark my words. It's gonna be Candace and Wendy's ankles that they come for next year. And if Escala is back, It's going to be a Scala's ankles next year that they come for. Mark my words. And then they went into Ashley's breastfeeding PSA package, and the awkwardness of even looking at her and her handsy sexual predator, in my opinion, husband, who has many claims against him, with footage of him going around grabbing black men's asses on the set and who are part of production. So that's basically sexual harassment at work, and it needs to be handled. These are a picture of the placenta pills and the placenta that Ashley liked to eat. And yeah, when I had my babies, they didn't offer me my placenta. I should have taken that home, because it turns out they do a lot of stuff with placentas at the hospital, and they get a lot of benefit out of taking women's placentas, especially, the melanated placentas. I hear they're that much stronger and juicier. I don't know. That's what I heard. But anyway, then we look at the kids, and the kids finally look like Ashley, she says. I still think they look like Michael Darby, but they look like Michael with a bow on, as they would tell it. I don't know. Mark my words on this too, people, that all Ashley has to do from now on is keep on having babies. I bet she's going to be pregnant with baby number 3 here in the next season or so, because all she's going to do is have babies. Her line is stirring stuff with other people. That this is her status on the show, Ashley Darby's status. She covers up for her sexual predator husband, in my opinion. She stirs up other people's stuff without being called on the carpet for it, in my opinion. She is colorist towards Candace, in my opinion. She wants specifically Candace to get over stuff. And she gets to act however towards Candace, and wants Candace to get over it, but she can have the right to not get over things years later. Okay? So I'm not really here for Ashley. I think Ashley can go. She hasn't really added anything to the show besides stirring pots and breastfeeding PSAs and covering up for her sexual predator husband. Her sexual predator husband, in my opinion alone, is enough to get her off this show. Why is Bravo allowing this catastrophe of a liability to have potential victims of the production crew at this predator's hands every season? I don't understand why they do that. And I feel like it's a liability, and they need to let Ashley go, especially because that means that Michael Darby, her husband, gets the platform, and he doesn't deserve anything after the sexual assaults that he's done, in my opinion. Okay, so then they asked Candace, what's her obsession with Ashley's breast milk? And I don't think that she's obsessed with her breast milk, but Candace was funny. She pretended to cry. She said, I'm so jealous of Ashley's breast milk. Oh, I'm so jealous that Ashley's became a mom before me. She's hilarious. And then pretended to cry, and they were getting ready to laugh at her. Look at their faces, getting ready to laugh that she was going to be crying at that, because they laugh at Candace's pain. Whereas when the other ladies express pain and emotion, they embrace that pain and emotion. They are allowed to have the full breadth of their emotion at any given moment. However, the curbing and policing of Candace's emotions is part of the colorism and part of the gaslighting, you guys. And this is what Candace is saying. She's like, why does she get to say anything to me? And she tells me my hair is dry, which is a colorist thing to say for a light-skinned, silky straight girl to say to a chocolate girl with C4 hair that, oh, your hair is dry and you got them dry ass edges over there. She knew what she was saying when she said that. And the other ladies knew what she was saying when she said that. And nobody stepped in and corrected or policed Ashley. And even in this moment of Ashley getting to express and try to somehow correct and amend her statement, nobody is saying, look, Ashley, that was not cool. That was not cool. Just like the wide back statement wasn't cool. Talking about a sister's hair is not cool, Ashley. But nobody does that. And then, oh my gosh, people, for Ashley, the self-affirmed Darby's Barbie, to address the colorism statement that Candace was saying. You guys, if you could see me now, I'd have to walk away because I can't. The duplicity. Look at them. Look at their faces right there. They were all laughing at Candace's bringing up the colorism. And then they let Ashley's light-skinned ass go on this whole tirade about there is white privilege, and I acknowledge that, and da-da-da-da. But then they let her have a but after it. No, that's a period. There is that, and it is wrong for you to engage in it with your co-stars. That's gaslighting. You're holding yourself to a different standard than you are holding the other one too. And then Ashley's light-skinned self said she doesn't feel that it exists. Okay? So then I love that Wendy came out in her 4 degrees, because she asked her straight out, how can you say that colorism exists within society and then turn around and say that it doesn't naturally exist in this group? And then Candace even is saying, look, apply everything that you're saying about you to what I've been saying about my comment. And you have it simple. But hey, again, they are only seeing Candace as a problem. And then Ashley with the lies. Candace is correct. She never called Ashley a slave. She said overseer. And then Ashley's limited interpretation of what an overseer could mean was that he's a slave driver. Now, she never technically used the word slave driver. However, when Ashley said, you said he drives slaves, he didn't correct her again, because she had already said, I didn't call him a slave. And even they did the flashback. It was overseer was the word. Now, the overseer did oversee the slaves, but it's not the same as a slave driver. And nor was it the words that she used. So it's just that. That statement that Ashley made in writing for Monique is really the crux of the shattered trust between Ashley and Candace. And the gaslighting is to pretend that the emotion and lack of trust that Candace is experiencing now is somehow unwarranted. When in fact it is. And Candace is letting you guys know, look, I can still show up to work and get along with this heifer, even though I don't trust her as far as I can throw her. Even though I don't like her and what she's done to me, I am willing to work with her, and I can, but the hurt that she did to me, I don't know. I will never trust you. And I don't know when I'll get over it. And that's entitled. And then here we have Robin interjecting. Now, you guys, Robin interjected so many times, because if she hadn't, we wouldn't have known she was there. Okay. And I'm really not here for Robin this season. She didn't really add a lot. I don't really know why they keep having her and Ashley on at this point. I don't get it. Maybe because Juan and Michael have a bromance behind the scene, but it's Real Housewives of Potomac, not Real House Husbands. So they can both go, in my opinion. Then we have Wendy's package. And they start off with Wendy and Karen's mentoring each other, you know? Well, Wendy getting mentored by Karen, and Karen's failing to mention that she was going to be having a candle also at that particular moment. But let Karen tell it. She said it years ago that she was going to have candles and lots of home stuff. And then Wendy said, by the way, we have something to announce for Onya Candles. I not only have a 1-wick candle, but we are going to have 5 and 7-wick candles, people. Okay. The grandaunt tried to upstage her mentee, and the mentee upstaged the mentor. Hello. Unprecedented 7-wick candle. Now, honestly, though, you guys, can you imagine how fast that's going to burn? I mean, these candles better be affordable because with 7 wicks, they're probably only going to burn for a half hour or something, unless it's a freaking gallon-sized candle. I'm not really sure about the logistics of freaking wax melting, but 7 wicks is a lot of fire. Make sure you have your proper fire putter outer things and follow all safety protocol with a freaking torch with 7 candle wicks on it. Okay, but I give it to Wendy because she would not be out freaking done. Her 4 degrees found a way to get around that, and I am very proud of her, Wendy. Okay, so then here we come with Mia for some reason all of a sudden saying that she was going to kick Candace's ass. And see how they let that slide? She threatened physical violence over words again. Okay, and nobody said anything to her. And I just don't understand how that can happen. But it's the gaslighting and the colorism. Okay. And I feel like if there's any way for these women to move forward, they're going to have to treat all the people the same within their group. And they're going to have to stop picking out women who we obviously think are preferred because they're darker, because that's the only thing that's going on. She said less harmful things than you have an STD on national TV. All she said was your mama. Okay, I don't understand it. I don't understand how she just gets away with so many things. So let's see. Do you think that Candace was right about colorism? I do. Do you think that Ashley was correct for being the one to answer and ask about colorism? I don't. I don't think that Ashley is the person that gets to answer that question because she benefits from it in this group. She has never been held to such a harsh fire as Candace. Never. And she's done far worse things and said far worse things. Okay. And yet, for some reason, Candace is the bad person all the time. And it doesn't matter what Giselle says about Ray's ding dong not working. It doesn't matter what Karen says about hot boxes and STDs. And it doesn't matter what Ashley says about nappy hair practically. I mean, okay, the way Ashley lied and said Candace called her husband a slave driver, we could lie and say Ashley said Candace had nappy hair by calling her hair dry. That was the equivalent. But we're not doing that because it's Ashley. But they always add some extra for Candace because it's Candace. And that is colorism, people. That is gaslighting. Now, I know within the Black community, it might sound like an our problem type of thing, but it's only our problem because of the other problem of actual racism in this country. Because of the racism in this country and the degradation and dehumanization of the melanated Black population in this country over time, white people, Chinese people, Asian people, Indian, East Asian, South Asian, Russian, freaking German, Korean, pick a place, even in Brazil. Nobody wants to be the darkest one in the room. Nobody wants to really be the darkest one in the room because of racism and colorism, okay? Because of the persecution of dark-skinned people. So even within a society such as the Black population, we have internalized that to a degree, and we spout out that internalized racism as colorism. where light-skinned people get a pass on saying certain things, but dark-skinned people are viewed as harsher and seen more threatening. But this lady right here with her size 12 feet can physically say, I'm going to whoop your ass, and that's not a threat. But Candace's response to it is somehow seen as threatening. It is something that we're going to have to deal with within our community. And, but I don't know if this panel of ladies, if they have the stomach for it, because they would have to deal with a lot of their own internal going-ons about that. They've all benefited from it. They get their blonde extensions, their skin is light, they do all the things. Nobody's hair is showing their natural C4 texture. Nobody's hair up there is rocking their natural C whatever spring. Nobody, because they've all assimilated to a standard of beauty that does not include their melanin features. Okay? And yes, Ashley's forehead is 2.5 inches larger than Candace's. It is. And in my opinion. And I think that the GOAT for this episode, in my opinion, the GOAT is Candace, because not only did she own her stuff, not only did she have proof and receipt, she remained vulnerable. She was human. She totally accepted her position and what she did in it, and she was fine with it. That she had regrets. She apologized to who she needed to apologize to, and she was ready to move on. However, they still are pushing her. And so it was basically, there was 4 ladies on Candace's couch. She was by herself. And there were 4 ladies on the other couch. And Candace was still by herself. So it was basically, Wendy was on her side. And it's everybody against Candace and Wendy on the colorism issue. And if you look at it, it's literally the light skin against the dark skins. It's literally. And I'm sorry I have to be the one to point it out, but that's what I see. It's literally the dark skinned chocolate ladies not only mentioning their colorist experience and being told that they're wrong for it, or being gaslit about their own experience, but they voiced it and have said they experienced it, only for all the light-skinned ladies on the stage to turn around and say, no, you haven't. That's not real. No, you haven't. That's not real. Okay, that's classic. That's classic, you guys. How are these dark-skinned women not entitled to their emotion and their experience? How are these light-skinned women in charge of the dark-skinned women's perceptions of their experience? How? There's a lot of work to be done. Now, this is one of my favorite franchises for a lot of reasons. They usually come full circle. They can usually have mess and then get it cleaned up and really show a full human experience of what it's like to have girlfriends, you know? Sometimes you don't talk to your girlfriend for 2 years. Sometimes you don't talk to that B for like a couple months, and then you guys are good. But I appreciate that the Real Housewives of Potomac hopefully will be able to come full circle in a true way with these women and really find some healing, because the national topic, the global conversation of colorism and the global conversation of gaslighting gets to happen with these shows, right? So I don't know, people. These are just my feelings and my opinions. It's hard to watch people who look like me do this to people who look like me. You know what I mean? and it's kind of off-putting, but whatever. Okay, so then in the last thing we had Wendy's package again, where we got introduced to her happiness, and I thought that was cute. I love Wendy's, how she, went there with herself and did what she felt like she needed to do. I think plastic surgery is great for people that want it and get it done right. I liked Wendy's PSA about make sure you pick a person who's board certified and do your research if you choose to go under the knife and get plastic surgery, because there are a lot of physical things that can happen to you that are detrimental if you don't pick the right surgeon. So be very diligent in your research about who you will allow to cut on you. I like that. And the La Dame La Don't is a liar face and very sneaky. I don't really know why she gets to be so vulgar and still pretend like she's the grand dame and not the freaking madam of the brothel. You know what I'm saying? The things Karen says are vulgar. She's disgusting with some of the things that come out of her mouth. She does sound like a madam to me in many respects. And yet she holds on to this moniker her frenemy Giselle gave her, the Grand Dame, so intensely that she's created this whole persona to go with it, and an accent, you guys. The whole thing, she talks like this. I'm just like so bored with her already. Be a real human, Karen. Be your real authentic self without lying, without all the accents, without all the fake monikers. And then reintroduce yourself to me in particular, because I have never really, I've always looked at you sideways because of your whole accent thing and all of that. It's never really felt authentic to me. And I don't know how many people I'll lose because I don't like Karen the Grand Don't, but she's not for me right now. Hopefully she can get her stuff together and she'll be for me one day. Now, Robin, again, like I said, you guys, Robin is only knowing she's there when she interjects. And whenever Robin would interject, Wendy would interject. And Robin is actually coming off very gatekeeper-like to Giselle, because she would interject mostly when it had to do with the Giselle topic, because nobody talking to you, Robin. Nobody's talking to you. What did you even do this season, Robin? I don't know. Anyway, what else happened this season? I mean, this episode, besides the gaslighting, besides the apparent colorism, besides the apparent lies that that Karen and Mia tell and get away with, besides the double standards where everybody can say whatever they want to disrespect Candace, but the only thing wrong is Candace's response. Can somebody please give me a check? Please? Check, please. Because I'm done with it. I'm done with that. That's totally ludicrous that would get to happen. So that's mostly my take. I mean, and then Robin did oversharing about she usually poos at 9 and 11. She usually poos twice a day, but she was constipated. That was interesting. I don't really know what else we can do here, you guys. Do you have any comments or questions? I see a couple of people came in. Thanks for tuning in for Larger Curves today. Make sure you smash the like button, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below. I love interacting with you guys. And yeah, if there's any comments, we can go over them. If not, then I didn't want to go over an hour for this live. This last little thing though, let's just talk about Mia and her delusional lies. She thinks that all the other husbands want her size 12 feet. And that's just more delusions and lies. And then she would go on social media and be like, oh, your husbands want me. That's ridiculous, lady. The only husband that's shown that he wants somebody else is your husband when he was licking his tongue at Karen, remember? And telling Karen, you better keep Karen away from G. Oh, and then they got into those horrible rumors from that Avatar's website that totally was Team Monique last year. Yeah, that's the same website that disparaged Wendy and her marriage, and also the same website that disparaged Giselle's hotbox. So I don't know. I don't really go by that vlog anyway. But I don't think that Eddie had the affair, and the other ladies don't think that he had the affair. But I do see the point about Wendy being upset that, okay, hundreds of people or thousands of people read the blog that said the husband had the affair, but millions of people watched the show you repeated it on. And so I can understand that. However, like I said before, I did understand the follow-up question, which was, do you think that she got the surgery because of the rumors? Like that seemed like a logical question to me, and I didn't really take too much offense to it. However, Wendy had a great clap back, which was, I had all this stuff done for me. And if you think that I got it done for a man, that you sound stupid because you got a tummy tuck. Did it make Jamal stay with you? And that was kind of a low blow, but because to me, talking about Jamal is like beating a dead horse at this moment. He's not on the show. He hadn't been on the show this whole season. So bringing up anything Jamal related is tired and weak at this point. And I will say it every time. The only person you're hurting with Jamal comments are Grace and the twins. Those are the only person you're really hurting because they're the ones still attached to that man. Giselle is not literally attached to him in the former relationship. So what else do we have? That was a little comeback. But yeah, I don't think that plastic surgery question from Giselle was too over the top. And I appreciated Wendy's comeback because that implication that it's for a man, men are going to do what they want. Just the way Giselle isn't responsible for Jamal's peen, there's no way that Wendy could think that happiness is going to keep Eddie at home. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much my review for today. Next week's reunion part 3 is going to have Nicki Minaj on there. And I don't really know why that's getting to happen, except for she's going to come with some questions that people want to ask that Andy Cohen isn't allowed to. So I feel like it's more black on black crime about to happen in that regard. More colorism, rather. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to Larger Curves today. Make sure you smash the subscribe button, smash the like button, hit the bell so you can get notified next time I upload a video. Leave a comment down below. And I hope that you enjoyed this review of Real Housewives of Potomac Part 3. I'll see you in the next video.